Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. We are pleased to welcome you on our webinar all about tasks. My name is Anastasia and I'm the sales manager of Avivi company. Please relax, sit back, take yourself a cup of coffee and get ready to learn a lot of useful information. As usual, in the beginning of our webinar, we ask our viewers to write down in the section of comments their level of acquaintance with Bitrix. In that way, we'll be able to use the time of a webinar as efficient as possible. Also, I'd like to speak about the agenda of our webinar. You can find it in the description of the video. So it's obvious from the title that today we'll be talking about the tasks in Bitrix. At the beginning of the webinar, we will discuss the types of tasks. Next, we'll analyze the functionality of tasks and finally learn how to manage them correctly to use it to the top abilities of Bitrix. Our webinar will be recorded, so you'll be able to view it anytime you need and find the section you are most interested in. So, let's get started. Today we'll speak about the tasks in Bitrix. This is one of the main tools of the system, and many companies use only tasks to manage their work. Actually, thanks to the tasks, effective planning of the entire business is possible. So I won't dive deeply into the task's essence. I'd rather show you everything on the examples. So let's go to the Bitrix portal. I'll switch off the camera view. We'll begin not with the task directly, but with switching of the primary tool. Don't worry, there is nothing terrible about that. The functionality of your portal won't suffer from this section. So let's select the configure menu icon and choose the change primary tool. When you initially register the portal, the system asks you what tool you'll be using most often. It's important for us to know that everyone has the same conditions. So let's change your primary tool to tasks and projects. Confirm these changes. If you already have this tool selected, just click cancel. Note that you can change the main tool at any time. As you can see, nothing is missing from your portal. The left menu was just rearranged a bit. And now it's made up specifically for project management. This item became the first in the list. Everything you don't see now is in the hidden section. You can drag and drop any item you want to use. Please check if your activity stream is on the right side. So let's make it visible again. We'll be needing this menu item today as well. So let's go to the tasks and pay attention to the counters. This is the first thing you see when you open this. There are some important numbers immediately. Counters show us how many tasks we have in our work and what role we have in them. The first one is all. It takes into account absolutely all tasks. Then you see the ongoing ones, those who you set, assisting, and the one you were just observing. In fact, the counter is a regular filter that will select the necessary task for you. These counters will always show you which tasks need more attention. So, as for the task directly, there are several types of displaying. We start with the list view option. Here the tasks are displayed as tables with different fields. name, deadline, creator, responsible, and so on. The columns of the table can be customized according to your needs. So let's try this. Click on this cogwheel item. You can select important columns and the outlay of the tasks list will change accordingly. So let's remove the project from here and add the score. Let's save our changes. Now as you can see, the outlay is changed a bit. Here we can see the scope that appeared. It's a kind of a picker and we can evaluate the quality of tasks directly from here. So let's try this. We can make it positive or negative or remain it neutral. So let's say it's positive. See, the icon changed and you can understand that this task is going on very well. So let's move it back to the neutral section. So the list mode is very useful when you have a lot of tasks. You will simply navigate by them, by the name, while searching for the necessary tasks, or by other columns. But the most valuable thing list mode provides is the possibility of mass actions with tasks. For example, let's finish several tasks at once. So let's choose several tasks and select the action we want to do with them. So let's finish it. Let's complete the task and apply it. As you can see, these tasks have gone from this table and they are in the finish section already. What else can be done through mass actions? For example, we can move the deadline for the selected tasks. Just the same way, choose the tasks you want to move forward, go to select action and click on the move deadline forward and make it, let's say, 1 day and apply. So the deadline of these tasks changed by 1 day. What is great that we can change the responsible person directly from here. So the same way, click on the tasks you want to change responsible in, go to select action, scroll down a bit, and go to change responsible. Let's say I want to make Emma the responsible person. I'm selecting her in the list and click apply. So this has missed from my responsible person column, but it appeared for the Emma. This is a very useful scenario when you fired an employee. Then all his tasks can be transferred to another person or distributed among several other employees. So also, I want to pay your attention to the fact that there is one more important feature in Bitrix. The fired employees don't disappear from the portal. Their tasks or records in the CRM remain after being fired. At any time, you can go back and see what the person did. All of the information can be transferred to someone else if necessary. The task and list are stored one above the other, and it's simple when you have a few of them. But over some time, your company and the volume of work will increase, and the list mode won't be enough to cope with all of them. For a higher level, there is a type of task mapping such as Gantt. The Gantt chart is a very interesting form of information, where each task is displayed as a block on the calendar grid. That's very convenient in the case of working on projects, since you immediately see the schedule of work. Depending on the timing of the task, this may be a strip of different lengths. As you can see, you can move it around, see the tasks that are in the process, see the deadlines. So tasks with an unidentified deadline will end in the current day column. Overdue tasks will be marked in red and the ongoing ones will be blue. The main feature of the Gantt chart is the ability to quickly work with timing of tasks. This happens in visual mode and we can immediately see how it is seen in time. Most importantly, we can link tasks together. So let's take a look. I'll take a random task and it will be linked to the dependent one. So just click on this round icon and drag the line to the dependent task. So as you can see, the dependent task can be moved and only it will change this position, but if we drag the main one, they will be dragged at once. And now let's review the last kind of tasks. It's the planner. I think it's the most progressive of all. Planner is a board with stickers where instead of small sticky notes, we have cards with tasks. There are columns in Planner. It's your way to organize the tasks as you like. For example, if you want to work separately with tasks that are only for this week, separately for the one that must be done in the months, maybe some other tasks, or you can create several directions in which you work. Thus, you can create columns with conditions and drop tasks to the appropriate places. I added some images, and now you can visually determine which direction of the company's work they belong to. We'll talk about how to add a picture in future. So the planner also clearly shows the task creator and the responsible person. On the top, you can see whether the task has a checklist and its deadline. By the way, the time can be changed directly from the card. The tasks can be started, paused, and finished directly from here. Please note that your colleagues will see the names of task columns in your planner. They won't be able to see the set of tasks in them, except for the portal administrator and your direct supervisor, of course. But the name of the column will be visible to everyone. Remember this when creating your planner. Don't put anything too crazy in here. Let's try to create our own column. So click on the plus and specify the name. Give the status a color you want to use and save it. Now you can drag and drop the tasks between the statuses in your planner. And now it's time to create new tasks. We'll start directly from the planner mode. To do this, click on the little plus and specify the name of the task and the tag you want to use, and just click enter. The task is automatically created for the person who done it and made the responsible person the same. You can edit this task later. But now let's use a bit more practical way to create tasks. Click on the new task and the slider for editing tasks will open. The most important step is to create an appropriate name. Why is that? There are some tips. You'll be guided in the list mode by task name. The exact and understandable name of the task for other employees will already give an understanding of what the task is and what it refers to. And the name ensures additional guarantees that you will not forget anything. So let's start. Let's give the task a name. On the right side of the screen, you can make the task important by clicking on the high priority option. I must say this action doesn't affect anything, but the manager will see that this is a really important task and will react more closely. So now let's edit the description. Here you can freely describe what needs to be done. This is the main information field for the task and it will depend on how you fill it. So let's add the description. You can edit the description, you can give accurate instruction by the person what's need to be done. You can use some method of text formatting, like make the text bold, for example, make it italic, highlight it with some color, or other effects you may like to use. Additional materials can be attached to the task, and they can either be simply loaded from your computer, from Bitrix, downloaded from the external drive, or created directly from the desktop applications. I will upload the file from my Bitrix drive. I'll select the document and download it in here. We can place it directly into the text by clicking on the Insert in Text button. And voila, the picture is in the task description. So let's assume that the description of this task is ready. Now let's add the checklist. This is a very handy tool in the tasks. In fact, this is an analog of the list of subtasks that we need to complete in the main task. I'll create 3 phases of execution. So let's say click on the add. And the third one. And now this checklist is created. During the task, we'll cross out the stages that we have already passed. Like that. They become hidden, but at any time you can view these items or resume them. And now let's consider the roles. We've already mentioned this question before, and now we will analyze it in more detail. Here we can see 4 roles: the creator, the responsible person, participant, and the observer. The responsible is the one who will be directly responsible for implementation. Please note that only one person can be responsible. In fact, you can specify more than one responsible in this field, but then there will be created as many identical tasks as many people you add there. The logic behind this is pretty simple. If there are several responsible, then people may not feel their own responsibility or rely on the rest of participants. Thus, in the Bitrix24, they adhere to the principle that there should be only one responsible person. But on the other hand, we can create bulk tasks. For example, if you want the tasks to be added for all employees, for example, to prepare a report, then this function will be very useful. In our case, I will choose the responsible myself. Thus, I'll be automatically become the task creator. There is another important feature. If you set a task on behalf of another person, which is also possible, you can set it only for yourself. And only administrator has the right to assign any responsibles and creators. An ordinary user cannot do this, so there are no situations when on behalf of someone else's. There will be tasks for people who don't know about it at all. So if I need helpers, I can choose the participants. These employees will have the same rights as me, but only I have the organizational responsibility. And the last role is the observer. For this role, you can invite people who are not users of your Bitrix portal. All you need to do is to specify the email address of such a person. I will enter the prepared email address. And when the task will be created, we'll consider the capabilities of the extranet observer. So the next option, which is the key one, is the deadline. Remember that a task without a deadline is not a task, it's just a node. There is a high probability that if you don't specify the deadline, the task will never be completed. So set the deadlines. When planning time, you can specify the start date of the task and its duration. It doesn't mean that the task should be started immediately after confirmation of stages, but when we have the date in here, it will be much more convenient. You may have a reasonable question: why specify the duration if there is a deadline? It's pretty simple. In many companies, the end may differ from the deadline. That is, we plan that we need 4 days to complete the task and take stock of 1 day. Thus, the deadline is in the line after which the task should be already completely closed. After choosing the deadline, you have additional options. Many useful features are hidden in here. In the kind of answers to some questions, you can designate additional conditions for the task. For example, approve the task when it is created. In this case, we'll create a notice for the creator. He will be able to review this task and value the quality of the completed task and either accept or return the task to the responsible. Similarly, other options in this block work. There are explanations for each item, so you can always read what there are for. The next option is the reminders. We can set the time when the task reminder will come either to you or to the responsible. We select the date and time when the reminder should appear for the right person, and the number of the reminders is not limited. But please be careful, because a lot of reminders will distract people from other tasks they have. Also, in task, you can have the custom fields. By default, they are empty, but you can add all the necessary entries here depending on the specifics of your business. The next thing is the time tracking. So what is it? That's a very important feature. When we plan the time to complete the task, we can indicate it here as planned. When the responsible starts to do the task, he should press the button Time Tracking in the task, and the timer of Bitrix24 will count the time spent by them. In this way, we'll be able to see whether we have planned our time efficiently, whether the manager has completed the task on time or not. And time tracking is mandatory if you use the time tracking tools in your work, such as Time Doctor. Without this checkbox, the integration will not be able to keep track of time. This option is extremely important when you use the hourly work of contractors. Then you'll be immediately able to see how much time you have to pay. You can learn about the time tracking in more detail from an article in our blog called Renewal of Bitrix24 Integration with Time Doctor. The link is in the description. Also, pay attention to the Time and Project Report, the most convenient time tracking application for Bitrix24, which was created by avivi company. With regard to the CRM, you can also connect the task with the entities of Bitrix24. These are leads, contacts, companies, and deals. If we select an entity, it will be displayed in the task after creation. Also, a task will appear in the very essence of the CRM. A notification will appear for the responsible person, and everyone will understand that the new related task has arisen. And finally, let's add the task. Here our task appeared. You can run the task right from here see, the settings of the task in Bitrix24 are very flexible, and you can configure the task anytime you need. And as promised, let's check the mail of our extranet user. As you can see, the new email was sent to this email address with the invitation to see the task. Let's click on the view task. And for the extranet user, it will be shown as here. So this Mike will be able to keep track of all the communication the people have on this particular task, make comments, see how much time was spent, see the history of changes, and see the people involved, the deadlines, durations, and different scores and other fields you have in your task. So it's very convenient when you work with some extranet users and don't want to invite them to your portal directly, but want to have them on each particular tasks and not let them go around your Bitrix account. So it often happens that in course of the dialogue in chats or activity stream, messages there are the reason for potential tasks. So you can create tasks directly from there. Let's go to the activity stream and see that Bitrix allows you to create a task from any message. You can edit it later, of course. Thus, nothing will be lost from your side during the discussions of various cases. So let's click on More and create task. As you can see, the new task has been created from this particular message. Of course, any task can be deleted if it's no longer needed, and the easiest way to do this is from the list mode. I will mark the task I have just created and delete it. So go to select action and click on the delete. Save the changes and the task has disappeared. But the task has not disappeared from your portal completely. It was just moved to the recycle bin. And we can view the tasks assigned by us in here. Any task can be restored, but it can also be removed forever. In this case, the information will be lost. So let's delete it. Click on the delete button and save the changes. The task has disappeared completely, so it's not present in the list and in the recycle bin as well. So I showed you the basics of working with tasks in Bitrix24. Of course, this is not all the features that there are available for users. You can create task templates, customize repeat tasks, but all about this in our webinars. Write in the comments to your questions and suggestions. We will be happy to see the emails from you. Like, share this video, leave comments. This was a webinar from Avivi company all about tasks. Thanks, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.